Across the 11 time zones of the world's largest nation, a silent, seismic shift is underway. Something strange is happening across Russia, a phenomenon that defies easy explanation. From the bustling streets of Moscow to the remote port of Vladivostok, millions of ordinary Russians are suddenly, and with a perplexing urgency, learning Arabic. Language schools are reporting year-long waiting lists. Online courses are overwhelmed with new registrations. This isn't just a few curious students. It's entire communities, from software engineers to oil rig workers, dedicating their time to mastering a new alphabet, a new grammar. But why? What could possibly trigger such an unprecedented linguistic shift? The official narrative offers few clues. The real answers lie buried in classified documents, whispered in secret back-channel meetings, and encoded in the moves of a global geopolitical chess game most people don't even know is being played. Our investigation traces the origin to a pivotal meeting 3 months ago. Behind the heavily fortified walls of the Kremlin, a small group of Vladimir Putin's most trusted advisors made a decision that would change everything. The atmosphere was tense. Crippling Western sanctions were strangling the economy. Decades-old partnerships with Europe and the US were not just crumbling. They were being systematically dismantled. Faced with economic isolation, Russia began a strategic pivot of historic proportions. If the West was closing its doors, Russia would build new gateways, looking east and south for new allies. A new era was about to begin, and the first step was learning to speak the same language. Behind closed doors, away from Western intelligence, monumental agreements were forged. Documents stamped with the highest classification reveal massive trade pacts with Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar. These weren't standard treaties, but comprehensive partnerships signed in secrecy, outlining a new economic architecture for the East. At their heart were new energy corridors designed to reshape the global map, linking Siberian oil fields directly to Middle Eastern markets. These multi-billion-dollar projects created an immediate critical problem: a communication gap. Russia had the resources, but lacked a workforce that could speak the language of its new allies. For decades, such deals were brokered in English through Western hubs. But this new alliance was different. The directive was clear: no more intermediaries, no compromised translators. Every negotiation had to be handled directly, in Arabic and Russian. It was a move to build trust and create a closed loop, impenetrable to outside influence. The Kremlin's response was a quiet mobilization. State corporations offered unprecedented incentives, job guarantees in lucrative sectors, and massive salary bonuses. It wasn't just encouragement, it was a state-directed mandate. Learning Arabic became a golden ticket into a new Russian elite. The effect was explosive. Language institutes were overwhelmed as online platforms saw user numbers skyrocket. Within weeks, Arabic became the fastest-growing second language in modern Russian history. A linguistic gold rush had begun. But the economic incentives were just the public face of a much deeper strategy. The paper trail leads far beyond corporate boardrooms. This wasn't just about business. Simultaneously, new military cooperation agreements were ratified. These involved joint training exercises, shared intelligence, and integrating complex weapons systems. Direct, real-time communication between officers was non-negotiable, as a single misunderstood command could be catastrophic. The alliance extended into the most sensitive domains: artificial intelligence, space exploration, and nuclear energy. Here, the nuances of technical language are something translation software can't handle. Routing sensitive data through third-party AI was a security risk they refused to take. So when you connect the dots, the picture becomes clear. This isn't just language learning. It's the logistical groundwork for a new geopolitical axis, an alliance designed to operate independently of the West and reshape global power structures. Every student in Moscow conjugating an Arabic verb, every engineer in Siberia memorizing technical terms, is a pioneer on a new frontier. They are the human infrastructure of this emerging world order, preparing for a future where East-West dynamics have fundamentally shifted. The mainstream media calls it a cultural curiosity. But inside the world's intelligence agencies, the analysis is starkly different. They don't see a trend. They see a timeline. They call it strategic preparation. The implications are staggering, and they extend far beyond the headlines. What we are witnessing is not just a temporary alliance of convenience, but a coordinated and rapid restructuring of the global economic and political landscape. A tectonic shift is underway, and its foundations are being laid in language, technology, and trade. New trade routes, like the ambitious International North-South Transport Corridor, are being forged in steel and concrete. These aren't just lines on a map. They are strategic arteries designed to completely bypass traditional, Western-controlled choke points. They create a seamless flow of goods from Moscow to Mumbai via the ports of the Persian Gulf, establishing alternative economic corridors that operate entirely outside of Western oversight. This economic decoupling is powered by a quiet revolution in finance. Currency partnerships are systematically dismantling the dollar's dominance. When Russia sells its grain or the UAE sells its oil, transactions are increasingly settled directly in rubles, dirhams, or yuan. This isn't just about saving on exchange fees, it's a direct challenge to the SWIFT system and the very foundation of American financial power, which has policed the global economy for nearly a century. Simultaneously, a new technological axis is forming. Joint research initiatives in quantum computing and artificial intelligence are not merely about catching up with the West, they are about leapfrogging it. By pooling resources and talent, Russia and its Middle Eastern partners are building a parallel tech ecosystem, one that is resilient to sanctions and independent of Western supply chains. This isn't just about hardware, it's about creating shared intellectual capital, a new brain trust for a new world order. But perhaps the most profound shift is the human one. Genuine cultural bridges are being built between civilizations that were strategically kept apart for decades. This is a deliberate effort to replace suspicion with trust, to build relationships that go deeper than any contract. State-sponsored programs are fast-tracking thousands of young Russians through intensive Arabic language and cultural immersion courses. These graduates are more than just translators, they are strategic assets. This new generation of Arabic-speaking Russians will be the architects and operators of a multipolar world. They are the diplomats, engineers, and CEOs who will navigate this new landscape with a fluency the West simply cannot match. And it's here that we find the West's colossal blind spot. Analysts in Washington and Brussels are scrambling to understand what they missed. While they were confidently announcing sanctions, believing they had cornered Russia, they failed to see the bigger picture. Their playbook, designed for a unipolar world, was obsolete. The pressure they applied didn't isolate Russia. It acted as a catalyst, forcing it to pivot with unprecedented speed. Russia was building bridges to the nations of the global south. The strange reason Russians are learning Arabic overnight isn't strange at all. It is the most calculated and logical response to a world in flux, where old alliances are proving fragile and new partnerships are the key to survival and prosperity. The language is the foundation, the infrastructure is the framework, and the shared vision is the driving force. So the real question isn't why this is happening. The question is, what does the emergence of this powerful new bloc, united by language, trade, and a desire to chart its own course, mean for the rest of us? As the old world order crumbles, we are left to wonder, what exactly will rise from its ashes?